So now, again, I come back to Trump. You got to like be on the page that he's worse than Joe Biden and very different than Joe Biden. Come on, Doc.
Look, it's not politics that determine the outcome of society. It's culture. I don't care about politics.
I'm disappointed that I can't get you to just out and out say that Trump is a completely different animal than the politics on the left and the right that we both agree is very lacking on both sides.
It begs the question.
He is a completely different element and much more dangerous. I mean, we're talking about some sort of unnatural predator that was introduced into this wild, which was it was a jungle in the first place. But this is a different element. Nobody else has ever tried to not concede an election in this country, try to overturn an election we all, even the people in his own party, understood was lost. That is a Rubicon that we have crossed that makes him completely unique. A unicorn, if a unicorn was a big fat asshole. If I can't have your faith on that, it's very hard for me to understand where you're coming from on any issue.
All right, folks. Well, today we have yet another example of Bill Maher sometimes being a semi-reasonable person to listen to and then completely losing his mind over Donald Trump. And this has basically become a running series on this channel by now where we will cover how Bill, don't get me wrong, is foundationally a liberal. So there's a lot that I just straight up disagree with him on, but you can at least respect and find it interesting and, hear it out when he calls out both sides. He will call out the woke. He will call out corporate media for basically just towing party lines. And sometimes you listen to him and think, well, I may not agree with all of that, but at least you can respect that this is not a pure liberal NPC bot. You know that he's thought out these ideas. They at least sound kind of logical and reasonable, even if, again, you don't fully agree with all of them. But on this topic of Donald Trump, Bill Maher, on one hand, he'll go out and criticize liberal media. He'll criticize the woke. He'll criticize CNN. And then when the name Donald Trump comes up, he immediately turns into CNN. He immediately turns into MSNBC. And we've reacted to some of his past Club Random podcasts here. I think we did the Vivek Ramaswamy one where they were sitting down and having actually a really solid conversation. Bill was agreeing with a lot of what Vivek was saying. And then the moment he brought up Donald Trump, Vivek wasn't even trying to talk about Trump because he's his own candidate for president. But for about 15 or so minutes, they're having a really good conversation. And then Bill, for half the podcast, just won't stop screaming about Donald Trump, he the treason, blah, blah, blah. And you completely lose him. And he just becomes, frankly, pretty insufferable to listen to. Same thing on the Joe Rogan podcast, where Joe Rogan is softcore agreeing with Trump, kind of, and Bill just loses his mind. But today, like I said, folks, I think we have the most prime example of this you've ever seen. And this is a little bit older, but I just found this recently where he had Dr. Phil on the podcast. Now, of course, Dr. Phil, I'm sure he's a good guy and all, but not really super political. I don't exactly know Dr. Phil as being a hardcore Republican activist here, but Bill kind of asks him a little bit about how he feels about political issues. And Dr. Phil basically just says, yeah, I don't try to get super political. I think both sides are broken. He just says he doesn't really like Trump or Biden. He's just kind of not political, disaffected with politics or whatever, which is fine. He's Dr. Phil. I'm not expecting him to be a conservative commentator here, but because Dr. Phil won't agree that Donald Trump is the worst person ever and that Biden is automatically better than Trump, and because Dr. Phil basically just says, oh, I don't really care about politics, not going to comment on Trump, Bill Maher loses his mind, completely loses his mind. Let's take a listen here, okay? So here's him asking about Dr. Phil's political stances, and we'll go from there. Here you go.
Show, because that's great. So give me can you give me your basic view, the overview, the 30,000 feet overview of where you think America is? And
I think it's headed for a cliff.
Me too.
I think it's heading for a cliff, and
major reasons being.
Well, it depends on what category you want to talk about. And look, I stay non-political because I think there's idiocy on both sides.
There is.
Yeah, I see people in the State of the Union address on the right side of the aisle yelling liar at our president.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of our president or the last one, but I respect the office of the president. And to see somebody screaming liar, that disrespects the office. I think the rest of the world's got to be looking at it going, God.
But let's also pause a moment to say,
Okay, so right off the gate, you can tell Dr. Phil, like I said, I don't think the guy's a conservative. I think the guy just doesn't care about politics, kind of views both sides as broken. Again, it's Dr. Phil. It's not Vince Dow, not Tucker Carlson. It's Dr. Phil. But the fact that he basically just says, oh, I don't really care for both sides, Bill Maher can't handle that. Listen to what happens next here. But first, do you want to take control of your financial future but don't know where to start? Well, our friends today at Noble Gold Investments understands, and a great way to start is by investing in precious metals. Now, investing in precious metals may sound confusing, but the team at Noble Gold makes it easy. Let's hear from actual Noble Gold customers. Quotes, the staff answered all my questions and helped me every step of the way. Another one here, no pressure sales tactics, just honest guidance. Folks, do not settle for financial uncertainty. Noble Gold will suggest all the options given your current situation and see if you can diversify with gold or silver. And right now, Noble Gold is offering a free 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful silver bullion coin for qualified accounts. So don't settle for financial uncertainty, especially in times like these. Our friends at Noble Gold have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews. So you're not investing in any scam gold companies here, folks. This is a real one. This is a noble one. So why wait? Go check out our friends using my affiliate link at thevincedao.gold.com. Again, that is thevincedao.gold.com. Fill out the form. They will contact you to let you know about the best ways, again, to invest in gold given your current situation. Check out our friends at thevincedao.gold.com.
you put in the same breath, you don't like this president and you didn't like the last one. They are very different people, and one of them is much more of a threat to the republic, and that would be the 45th. Would you not agree?
Well,
Come on, threat to the republic, Joe Biden? No. Joe Biden is a return to normalcy, yet
Oh my gosh.
a Democrat who is, yes, too much ensorcelled by his fringe left. He will not ever tell them to sit down and shut up. Much as I don't like it and it's bitter, I will take that bargain over Trump. Come on.
well, I'm concerned about both sides, and I'm particularly concerned about this woke agenda that's being pushed
Agreed.
right now. I'm concerned about what's happening in American colleges right now.
Oh,
So Bill Maher just said he agrees. He also agrees that Biden enables all those people, but doesn't view Joe Biden as a concerning threat to the future of the country, even though he said the woke agenda that Biden enables is a threat to the country. That's incoherent.
My God.
insanity. I don't think people know. I just don't think they know, because I think, and I don't know, of course, I've not been on campus, but you can read so many first-person reports, and you can read that it's in the literature of what these universities say they're doing or in their curriculum. I mean, there is like hard evidence of, oh yeah, this is going on, and then all the speakers that get chased off of campuses because
I agree,
kids,
Bill. I agree.
Far from defending free speech, they don't even believe in it as a concept. They are so spoiled and entitled that they believe that their feelings far supersede this concept of free speech. That is a complete decoupling of one of the utter basic principles that undergird this country, right?
Again, completely agree. Okay.
Let me tell you.
All right. So I think listening to this so far, you can kind of discern that Dr. Phil just doesn't really want to get super political. He's a cultural commentator. He wants to talk about issues, but he doesn't really want to get into the whole Trump Biden thing, which again, it's Dr. Phil. I'm fine with that. But then here we go again. Watch this. Bill Maher just can't shut up about Trump. He has to make it about Trump. Dr. Phil doesn't care for this discussion, but the Trump derangement syndrome here, again, very real. Take a listen to
And
this.
I come back to Trump you gotta like be on the page that he's worse than Joe Biden and very different than Joe Biden. Come on, Doc.
Look, it's not politics that determine the outcome of society. It's culture. I don't care about politics. You go back to the beginning, and Democrat and Republicans have been in control about 50-50. They've had the control of the House and Senate while they were in control of the presidency about 50-50. They've had it not in control 50-50. And look where we are. They both come up about the same place. I don't care about that. I care about our culture.
Okay, I'm disappointed that I can't get you to just out and out say that Trump is a completely different animal than the politics on the left and the right that we both agree is very
why does he have to comment?
On
why does he have to comment on it? You know, he's just trying to force him to.
both sides.
It begs the question.
He is a completely different element and much more dangerous. I mean, we're talking about some sort of unnatural predator that was introduced into this wild, which was not it was a jungle in the first place.
That's what
but this is a different element. Nobody else has ever tried to not concede an election in this country. Try to overturn an election we all, even the people in his own party, understood was lost. That is a Rubicon that we have crossed that makes him completely unique. A unicorn, if a unicorn was a big fat asshole. If I can't have your faith on that, it's very hard for me to understand where you're coming from on any issue.
Where he's coming from, Bill, is he just doesn't want to talk about politics. Why are you forcing him to do this? You know, he clearly just doesn't care. Not everyone like you, Bill, is so obsessed with Donald Trump bad, that every conversation over a couple drinks has to be about it. That's what it is. He's not, I don't even think he's a Trump supporter, right? I say this as a Trump supporter myself. I'm just pointing out how obsessed Bill is with this issue of you all have to agree Donald Trump is bad. Same thing in the Vivek thing. Same thing with Joe Rogan. Not everything has to be about Trump, Bill. Come on now.
I'm telling you.
Doc, you can't do it.
No, I'm telling you this. That's a cop-out.
Yes.
What difference does it make? A, he's not in power now. B, he's probably not going to be. And C, it doesn't. Let me ask you this. No, wait a minute. Hang on. You've read 1984 how many times?
Once.
Go off, Dr. Phil.
You have a good memory.
I mean, it was like college time, but I loved it. And I certainly remember the gist, the Ministry of Truth.
Yeah. And Oceana.
Yes.
The government came in, they said, we're going to tell you what words you can use. We're going to tell you what words you can't use.
Yes.
And if you don't do it right, we're going to unperson you.
I'm all over that.
You remember all that?
Right.
I know. And by the way, the Biden administration actually tried to have this year a Ministry of Truth. They almost called it. It was very close to it. I can't remember the name.
It was close.
It was close, and it was exactly what that is. I agree.
But even
Okay, so then how can you say on the same breath that you don't think Joe Biden is a threat to the republic? Bill Maher labels Joe Biden's war on free speech, which is real, in his Ministry of Truth, compares it to Orwell, and then at the same time says, well, Joe Biden is not a threat to the republic. He's just a return to normalcy. What's normal about that? Again, incoherent. He just has Trump derangement syndrome. That's all you can say.
beyond that, let me tell you this.
But you think that's a bigger problem than Donald Trump?
No, I don't.
Oh,
because
yes.
I don't think politics are the big problem. What I'm telling you is this. That's happening again, but it's not the government doing it. We're doing it to each other.
Also
this
true.
This cancel culture bullshit, we're doing what 1984 had Oceana, the government, doing. We're doing to each other.
I understand. I couldn't agree more.
It's the culture that's the problem here. You're wanting to say, let's pick somebody and throw them against the wall, whether it's Biden or Trump or Bush or whoever. That doesn't matter. It's culture.
You know what? One thing you have to have in a friendship, and I hope we're friends now for a long time, is the ability to air your differences, and then just move on. Like, this is a microcosm to me of what has to happen in America. You're Dr. Phil. You know, you're
all right. I agree with that. Okay, yeah, we all get along. We're all friends at the end of the day. Yippee-ki-yay. Okay, fine. But again, I will emphasize this. The reason I say this is the most prime example of Bill Maher's Trump derangement syndrome, of all the ones we've reacted to so far, is that Vivek, again, at least you could maybe make the excuse in that podcast that Vivek is openly defending Trump. Even Joe Rogan wasn't really defending Trump. He's kind of just playing Trump advocate, right? Devil's advocate, quote unquote. But still, maybe you can make that excuse. On this one right here, all Dr. Phil is saying, he's not saying you support Trump. All he's saying is just, I don't really care about politics. I don't want to talk about it. It's very clear Dr. Phil doesn't want to talk about it, right? Which, again, I think is fine. Not everyone in this country has to talk about politics. In fact, I think one of the biggest problems in this country is actually too many people care about politics. You wonder why it's so divided. Part of it is because, you know, the founding fathers didn't want a huge voter turnout where everyone was all voting, because this is kind of what happens, right? It was more of a niche thing. Certain class of society cares about it. That's the hierarchical belief of a republic. But, you know, now we have this, right? And Dr. Phil, what he's just trying to say is, I don't care about the politics. I'm here to talk about the social, cultural. That's it. Which, again, it should be fine. But Bill Maher, because he can't force Dr. Phil to say Donald Trump is the worst person ever and a threat to our democracy, he gets pissed and he says, I don't know how I can take you seriously, all this, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. It is what it is. You know, Bill Maher, I don't think, I pray for him. I don't think he's ever truly going to get it. Let's be real. But it is disappointing sometimes. Because on one hand, Bill will say we need to heal the divides, have these conversations. On the other hand, he can't get over this. Okay, not everyone is obsessed with hating Donald Trump like you are. It really is that simple. But anyways, with that said, folks, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think of Bill Maher's constant Trump derangement syndrome? Be sure to check out our past videos on it if you have not, because it's a running series. I think a lot of you guys will enjoy it here. But all right, with that said, folks, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Be sure to go check out our friends over at thevincedao.com. Protect your savings, investments, and retirement there. And until next time, Alpha Move is only. God bless. Have a very good day and peace.